Ransack is a self-sustaining, damage-boosting attack modifier. It's the reason Meepo wins more often than not. It's also a spell that's made him substantially easier. I'm not really too mad about that, but I'm sure there are some Meepo purists who are really passionate about how many games they've played as Meepo, seeing everyone else do exactly as well as they are, just because, you know, there's a lower point of entry. Ransack is pure damage, unblockable by BKBs, and, as previously stated, deals 18 damage per hit to heroes and 10 to creeps, whilst also healing all Meepos by the same amount each. 18 health isn't divvied up between them, they all get it. In a surprising turn of events, though, Roshan isn't a unit that Ransack can be used on. What a twist, right? Ransack has finally got one downside. But Meepo and Roshan go together like ham and strawberries, which is to say, very well, and we'll no doubt come back to this topic in a bit. Also, yes, Ransack stacks with other forms of attack modification, like Lifesteal and Desolator. But if you're playing Meepo and end up picking an Echo Saber, Maelstrom, Satanic, Desolator, then you're either really bad or so uncomfortably good that I can't even comprehend what you're doing. And at that point, I should be watching your videos. And then there's the spell. Oh boy. Okay. So each level gives you a Meepo clone. It's a passive spell, but no, it's not disabled by break. Could you imagine that? One hit from Silver Edge and 4 of your 5 Meepos just up and disappear with all of their stats and damage and spells to leave you completely alone. With the direction Meepo's win rate is going currently, I wouldn't take this off the tables as Icefrog's idea of a nerf for him. But I digress. Each clone only saps 40% of all XP, meaning that if a creep dies to a clone, 60% of the XP just disappears into the ether, unable to be claimed by anyone. This means that, as well as the percentage thing that I mentioned earlier, and what probably is like an hour ago, when one ally is nearby, the clone gets 20% of the XP in that area, with the ally getting his 80%, because he snags any XP that the Meepo clone doesn't get. So because of this, your allies will end up getting more XP with the clone around them than they would if Meepo Prime was around them, but obviously still less than they would, you know, get if they were just alone completely. So I guess the solution is get out of here, Meepo, nobody likes you, piss off to the other side of the map, and also thank you very much for carrying us, we're ever so grateful. Something special that you might not have ever noticed if you've never played Lone Druid or Meepo or other micro heroes before is that upon leveling up Divided We Stand, an icon of all of your Meepos actually appears really huge in the top left corner of your screen. Each icon gets a health and mana bar and flashes red. Each icon gets a health and mana bar and flashes red when that corresponding clone is being attacked. It didn't actually used to be like this when I first started learning Meepo. We used to only ever know that a Meepo clone was being attacked if we were looking at that Meepo being attacked. I tell you, kids these days have it so easy. Meepo clones get a swanky pair of boots all for themselves, which, as I'll get into in a bit, might actually work for you in a really major way. While it's been changed a lot over the years, the system for boots on Meepo clones works like this currently. Meepo clones can only ever have one pair of boots regardless of how many Meepo Prime has. I mean, other than, you know, one, of course. Meepo Prime can't just have no boots while the other clones keep his boots, but that's a bit silly. The order of what boots will appear on that Meepo clone goes Boots of Travel, then Greaves, then Treads, Arcanes, Phase, Tranquils, and normal Boots of Speed. Clones can't cast Greaves or Arcanes because, wow, imagine if they could. But they can cast Travels, Phase, and can have the Tranquil Boots active turn on. Meepo clones also can't be hit by Zeus's ult, which is nifty, but my favorite fact here is the way that attribute stats work. Okay, so you know how when Meepo Prime gets stats, the other Meepos get stats too? I mean, of course you do, it's pretty common knowledge. Well, did you know that for some spells and items and talents, those same Meepo clones can get double the attribute bonus? Here, because the Meepo clones get stats from Boots and from Meepo Prime, if Meepo Prime were to get Power Treads or Greaves, which is very common and in fact probably the norm with the former, every Meepo clone will get Treads too, as well as the stats bonus from Meepo Prime. You with me so far? You seeing what's about to happen? If Meepo Prime has his boots on Strength, he is getting plus 14 Strength, which he is then sharing with his Meepo clones, who are themselves benefiting from their own individual plus 14 extra Strength because their treads are also set on Strength too. With a 1,380 gold pair of boots, your Meepo clones can gain 504 health, or if on agility, 5.6 armor and 40 attack damage, or even with int treads, less impressively, just 336 mana. But still, that's pretty crazy. Because of stat game working like it does, you can reap double the reward. But on the flip side, it also means we take double the hit when a hero like Timbersaw strolls onto our lane and hits us with a 27% agility stealing Whirling Death. If we're all hit by it, our Meepo clones lose 27% of our normal stats, and 27% from from the main Meepo stats. Because of this, Timbersaw seemingly out of nowhere can end up being our biggest counter in a game, but now we know, and we can look out for it. Beyond this though, we have talents. What's great about these talents is that every single one of them works on the clones too, and this will be important in a sec. At level 10, we'll be getting our third Meepo and first talent if we do the level hoarding trick I mentioned earlier. With 3 Meepos, both options seem trebly good. Plus 10 damage becomes plus 30 damage, and with 3 Meepos, plus 7 strength becomes plus 20. Oh wait. Plus 35, because yep, like boots before it, this plus 7 strength talent on clones allows for the default plus 7 strength, but also for the added plus 7 strength that is gained as a bonus from Meepo Prime stats. In a shocking turn of events, it is entirely possible for Meepo's clones to gain more health and attack damage than the main Meepo, and there's up to 4 of them. Hopefully they don't rise up and turn on the masters anytime soon. In most cases you'll find that plus 10 damage wins out, especially given that our goal from the very start of any Meepo game is to close out this Meepo game as fast as possible. So sure, indirectly plus 7 strength might help out with that, but front loading your Meepo with damage and just hoping for the best will probably net you a faster one game, even if it might have a lower success rate. Meepo stays alive anyway, if you're really playing it right. So while plus 7 strength turning into plus 14 strength is great and all, it doesn't translate to killing heroes or buildings faster, and so we usually skip it. In fact, that exact same logic could apply to nearly every single talent in Meepo's tree. In most cases, we'll skip, for example, the plus 15% evasion that becomes available at level 15 in favor of the plus 30 poof dip, because of course this ends up not being tripled or quadrupled or quintupled, but all up tentupled, or decoupled, I don't know, I think that's the actual term, right? Deca would be 10, or just 10 times. It gets multiplied 10 times. Puff's damage is measured in how much it does in one instance, so by default we already double that amount to figure out its actual damage when cast upon itself, because it says at level 1 70 damage, but if we do a self puff it does 140, so a plus 30 turns one puff into 130 twice to 160 twice, which is 320. And just you wait until we get to the level 25 talent, where we could potentially do 320 damage with 1 second of cooldown. Very rarely will I ever get evasion, but I guess never say never. At level 20 it's much of the same, plus 10% lifesteal can be ignored in place of a negative 4 second cooldown on Earthbind, which naturally helps with the style of Earthbind casting that we're, going to be using, as discussed earlier, namely tossing those bad boys out everywhere to catch those bad boys, but the person that we're attacking in order to help our allies. Plus 10% lifesteal can usually just be mitigated by practicing your micro and swapping our low Meepos and sending them to safety, rinse and repeat. Sure, it helps with Roshan maybe, especially given that he doesn't proc Ransack, but with enough Meepos, Roshan shouldn't even really need a source of lifesteal to help take him down. And then there's level 25, and we might just break our damage of a durability streak we've got going. Plus 400 health, or a Puff cooldown talent so massive that it brings Puff down to literally 1 second. That's less time on cooldown than it is casting the dang thing. And here I'm stumped. I guess with the spirit of this guide being that I'm setting you up for the first steps in learning Meepo, I'll go with the tried and true plus 400 health, but just know that the next video it'll be different. When I know you're confident enough to do it, we will be leveling up the Puff cooldown talent to allow for the most amazing hit and run micro strat of being everywhere at any time, cycling in high HP Meepos and sending away low HP Meepos. It's truly reportable. That's a good word for it.